Why does the mindset of today's tech elite, which is a strange mix of hacker ethos, monopoly capitalism, and fantasies of escaping to Mars or into underground bunkers, feel so alien yet so completely dominant in today's world? According to author Douglas Rushkoff, who wrote Survival of the Richest, this mindset defines our new ruling class. But what if this isn't new at all? What if it's just the latest product of a hidden cycle? A factory of sorts that creates common purpose or societal goals that has been running for all of human history. My thesis is this: change is a metabolic process that's driven by syncretic exploitation. This means that new leaders rise to power by harvesting the fragmented everyday knowledge and beliefs of the masses. They then syncretize this raw material into a new compelling mindset that justifies their rule. This is a universal cycle where the objects of knowledge held by the lower classes are transformed into the subjects of power who become both ruler and the ruled. But how does this factory really work? Theorist Vilfredo Pareto described the symptom of this cycle. He called it the circulation of elites, and he saw history as a graveyard of aristocracies where rigid, forceful lions and weak, cunning foxes circulate back and forth in power roles, similar to political parties of today and the left versus right pendulum oscillation. But Pareto describes what happens, not how or why. And that how comes from philosopher Michel Foucault. Foucault argued that power isn't just a weapon used by the rich. Power produces reality. It produces regimes of truth. And this is kind of the engine of my thesis. The foxes harvest the objects of knowledge from the masses, their fears, their beliefs, and merge this raw data with their own ambitions and expressing it as a new truth. When a new object of knowledge is created, a new subject of power is born. Think about it. To have a heretic, you have to have a priest that defines heresy. To have a criminal, you have to have a state that defines crime. The emerging elite, which are the foxes, are simply those who successfully name and manage these new objects of knowledge. And as the lions sit at the top with their established dominant mindset, largely ignoring the emerging power from the masses, they themselves become obsolete. But there's an underlying mechanism at play here, and I call this mechanism syncretic idealism. It's not really the theft of ideas from the masses. It's an idealism. It's the creation of a new mindset. And it's syncretic. It blends new ideas with old ones. And this is what makes it so powerful. This is how it survives scrutiny. The model doesn't view the masses as passive victims. The new mindset has to win their consent. As Gramsci argues, hegemony is leadership through consent, not sheer force. The masses consent to this new mindset because it feels true. It's successful precisely because it's syncretic. It's built from their own raw beliefs, or as Ogilvy says, from the many-dimensional existence that is in the heterarchy. They see their own values reflected back to them, even as this emerging mindset is being used to organize the masses' exploitation. And this is the masses' active and often tragic participation in this cycle. Let's look at two examples. First, theocracy. In the Dark Ages, the lions were the local warlords. Their power was brute force. The raw knowledge of the masses was a hierarchy of pagan and folk beliefs and a deep-rooted fear of death. The foxes were the rising clergy. They didn't crush these beliefs. They syncretized them. The pagan winter solstice was rebranded as Christmas. Local gods were rebranded as patron saints. This new mindset was called Catholic Orthodoxy. The new ruler was the priest, the only one who could read the new truth and save you from the hierarchical emergences, which are now referred to as sins. This explicitly demonstrates what I'm talking about. Let's look at another example, techno-capitalism. So in the 70s and 80s, the lions were the old industrial CEOs. Their power was in manufacturing and factories. The raw knowledge that was emerging at this time was a hacker ethos, a desire for decentralization, freedom, and community. The Foxes were the emerging tech elites, the Gates, the Jobses, etc. They syncretized this anti-authority hacker ethos with monopoly capitalism. Think of Apple's 1984 ad. It sold you a product by pretending to be a rebellion. The new industry titans are now the data scientists and the tech founders. They harvested our private data and our social lives and have become the new lions. Why does this matter? It matters because it proves that power, no matter how remote or godlike it seems, originates in the raw lived existence of the masses. The mindset of our current tech elite, just like the dogma of the medieval priest, is a manufactured product, and its raw material is us. It also means that the seeds of the next change are already growing right now in the knowledge that today's elites are ignoring. The metabolic cycle always continues.